Welcome to Rent Memorial Stadium, where you're watching the Vancouver Nighthawks come down to take on the Seattle Rainmakers. Vancouver Nighthawks are taking the field on the right side as the Rainmakers come out. Rainmakers are set to pull. Their D-line is out here with a slight wind, very slight. Rainmakers pulling with the wind. They won the flip and decided to take pull instead of possession. Take side, sorry, instead of possession. So Johnny Quant will start with the pull. 0-0 here. Weather pretty nice for Frisbee. A little cool. It was drizzling a touch about an hour ago, but it seems to have calmed down. Still threatening. As John Quant kicks the game off with that big, slightly downwind pull. The Vancouver Nighthawks coming out in a horizontal stack, having Morgan Hibbert come off the front to give Brendan Wong a little option, who sends it straight up to Hibbert. Hibbert looking at some open people as the Seattle defense transitions. They often come down, Seattle defense, in a kind of junk that turns into man to break up those play calls. Still able to find Morgan Hibbert right in the middle. Hibbert playing lefty as usual. Flips it up to Wong, who has to go up over Pickle. Wong looking for somebody who's going to find Hibbert. Hibbert getting open when he wants and dishes it off to Tyler Naden. For the first point of the game, Nighthawks 1, Rainmakers 0. Seattle offense now on the field, ready to receive the pull from Hochhalter. Pull coming down. Seattle looks like they're going to come down in a horizontal offense. And man defense by Vancouver, as they do a pretty standard two people run deep, create some space. Looking for Todd Sleva, who's now got the disc. Sleva looking underneath, finds Burton for a little flip, and Burton takes no time to launch it up, see if Brad Hauser can bring it down. And it is broken up by, it looks like, Kevin Chan. Kevin Chan got in there, disc floated a little bit. As we said, just a slight upwind. And now Vancouver has a chance to go downwind, which he takes the shot right away. It's going to be challenged. And the challenge easily won there by Gavin McKibben. He really got a body out in front of Lamb and was able to knock it away without having to go over the top. And the Rainmakers will have another chance to put in with their offense. Not a bad punt decision given the wind, just to restart that offense for Seattle. McKibben on the sideline. Little mistake, dishes it out. Disc might be a bit wet from the turf. It was raining about an hour ago. So once those turnovers start happening, they keep happening. Hochhalter with the disc. Looking to get it off the sideline. And he finds Fitzgerald, who brings it right back. Still open Fitzgerald. Hit. Looking across the field, which he does. And then Chan stuck, really looking for a dump. The mark came almost behind, but it's going to be put in. Can he toe the line? Officials call it good for a break from the Nighthawks. You see a fairly new line out for Seattle. After that break, I think 2 chances with the disc, not being able to put it in. And Coach Gusson wanted some fresh folks out there. You see Jeff Pape catching the disc. Centering it there to Tridiak, who launches it right away to a totally unguarded Todd Sleva, who's going to be able to milk it in, jump it, and get the first point for the Rainmakers. Took about 3 seconds, and they put it in. So Vancouver defense did their job, got a break. Now time for the Rainmakers defense to dig them out of this small hole, see what they can do against the offense as Khalif El-Salam puts up the pole. Disc centered to Creed. Everybody very far away, making space for Eirik, who manages to get about 20 yards on that play. Eirik stuck with nobody too close except Hibbert, relatively unguarded. Hibbert faking the lefty flick and instead dishes it up to Jeske. And man, these are some quick goals going slightly downwind as Jeske finds Creed in the end zone to make it 4-1 Vancouver. Nighthawks up a break. 3-1 Nighthawks. Pull coming down, might be floating out of bounds as Pape is going to eye it, decide it's in. Center to Tridiak as usual, horizontal stack as usual, man defense by Vancouver as usual. And once again, Tridiak just looks, finds Andrew Lynch, relatively unguarded again. Hits Lynch in the end zone. Lynch decides to two-putt it and play a little give and go. Lynch Burton for the score. Quick scoring game here. Only 3 minutes have passed already. Rainmakers 2, Nighthawks 3. El Salam set to pull. Pull goes up. You notice those pulls not quite making it to the end zone, about 10 yards out, as they're fighting a small wind. Disc centered. Looking a horizontal stack man D, as Hibbert, surprise, surprise, gets the disc, throws a righty. Hibbert, originally a righty, after breaking his right arm enough times, decided to switch to lefty, and such an athlete that he's still able to succeed. But a slight miscommunication there by Irick. Flies through two cutters, as Henry Fans double-teamed, has to scuba it out to Sam Pickle. Pickle being the guy who was unguarded after the double team. And once again, little miscue as it gets by John Quant. Pick up in this sloppy point by McFarlane, who centers it, sends it all the way over. Natikman fires it up, hoping something's going to happen. But Nadon looks like he could have bid for it. Decided against. And it's going to be Sam Pickle walking it in, trying to slow things down for the Seattle offense, which has been looking a little sloppy this game. Their go-to play seems to be center to Danny Tridiak and let him huck it. And instead, at a high stall, throws it up, and McFarlane just bats it down right away. Brandon Wong goes a little behind. This is turned into a circus point as Irick can't pull it in from behind. And now Henry Fan's going to pick up the disc. See if he can't calm things down. Robin Breen trying to make some space, but everyone look a little hesitant, not sure where to cut anymore. Dewey Valentine in his own end zone. Finds El Salam, who dishes it off to Beener. Beener finds Pickle in the middle and doing a nice job hitting players coming up as Dewey Valentine decides to throw it deep, gets past a diving Creed, and then Henry Fan able to find Robin Breen in the end zone to bring it up to threes. El Salam set to pull. El Salam on the field again, but a lot of changeover on personnel for both teams this point. After that last point took almost as much time as the prior 5. Fresh feet on both sides. The center is going to a vertical stack as they tried to get Morgan Hibbert out of the stack, unable to do so. Instead hit Vu on the near side. Sends it back to the middle to Nadon, all the way across to Hibbert. Hibbert being guarded by El Salam. Question's always, what do you do about Hibbert? Stuck on the sideline a bit, but manages to find Nadon. Nadon looking for Vu, and he'll find him for a 15-yard gainer. Vu not sure what to do with the disc until he sees LaRosse all by himself on the far sideline. And they're sending it across the middle, and not quite able to be picked off by Pickle. Instead finds the receiver, 4-3. Nighthawks up with 4:37 left in the quarter. Hochhalter with a launch of a pull. Use that high wind and send it into the end zone. You're seeing a difference of about 15 yards in those pulls. That's the level of wind we're seeing here. As now you're seeing a man defense by Vancouver, but they did come out a little bit junky just to break up those pull plays, maybe a little afraid of that center to Tridiak and the huck, the way Seattle's been scoring recently, as Sleva finds himself on the near sideline. Hochhalter is going to have to fight, and nice pick by Burton. Manages to find it, and it gets sent up, and Tridiak past Hochhalter just by inches. Pulls it down, finds himself in the end zone. 5-4, Rainmakers take the lead. Apologies, that's 4-4, tie game. As El Salam pulls, challenging the Nighthawks to score upwind. Nighthawks coming out with a side stack. Looks like they're trying to create some space in the center. And they do, finding Creed. And there's the shot right away. El Salam's going to be challenged by Wong. El Salam makes a big grab. Big bid, but can't get there. And Wong will take it down to bring it 5-4 Nighthawks. No surprise there to see El Salam on Wong. Two of the fastest, most athletic players in the league. And El Salam makes a great bid, but Wong still able to hang on. As that disc sails out of bounds. Rainmakers coming down in their horizontal stack. McKibben's going to center. As the Vancouver D is taking the back hips on all the downfield players. Even though it is a slight upwind, just too risky after getting beat by some of those hucks. And it looks like it's working. Sends it back to Rupp, who finds Lynch. Lynch sends it a little bit behind Sleva. Sleva looking for somebody. And he'll pull it off to Lynch, who's able to milk another 5 yards out of that. Lynch gets rid of it to Burton and goes immediately. 3 streaking people to the same spot. Burton decides too crowded. Sends it back to Tridiak, back to Burton. Burton looking for anybody. Finds Sleva, who's just 3 yards out, needs to find somebody, and he manages to hit Rupp up that near sideline to tie the game. 3 minutes remaining. Simon's looking to pull here from Seattle. Launches an inside-out backhand. Not quite going to make the end zone. So far, both defensive lines have managed to earn a break, but the offenses have looked quite in control. Morgan Hibbert with the disc, big surprise. Hibbert throwing the righty backhand and clearing it all the way across the sideline. Oh, and Natikman just lets that disc slide out. A lucky break for Seattle, who's going to have a chance to earn their second break. As Clay Dewey Valentine walks up to the disc slowly. And nice work by Seattle getting immediately into a end zone set with 2 people back. There you have Laws with the disc, finding Beener. There's a vertical stack in the offense, still going an offensive set, trying to clear for one-on-one matchups, as Pickle just won that one to get 3 yards outside. Right now the one-on-one with Laws. Laws just going to take it for a slight loss and find Byerly in the end zone for a break, Seattle, to put them up 6-5, 2:23 left in the quarter. You're seeing almost a new defensive line in for Seattle. Somewhat uncommon after a DA line earns a break, but you see Dewey Valentine and Byerly still in. As Henry Fan races down to get that mark on Creed. Creed sends it across, and Wong puts up a huck. It's going to be challenged by, wow, fantastic challenge there by Dewey Valentine, one who scored last one. And the question is it going to be out of bounds? But Wong not able to put quite enough on that with a disappearing window as they run towards the sideline. And Dewey Valentine able to win that foot race and hit it out before it comes back in. Intended receiver Fan just not able to get there. Trying to trap Dewey on that side. Launches across. It's going to be a fight. But that fight looks like it was between Quant and Fan, as Coach Gusson decides to take a timeout and calm things down. And returning from the timeout, after the D-line got the disc back, Dewey Valentine breaking up that throw from Wong to Fan. And Coach Gusson decides to send in the O-line as Pate picks up the disc, sends it to McKibben, man defense, and just sneaks it there past Michael Yee. Gets it to the far sideline with eyes against. Entz looking for somebody. Dishes it up to Brad Hauser. House up to Lynch. Lynch all the way across to Entz. Seattle doing a very good job of working that disc left and right laterally around the field, making it very difficult for the downfield defenders to know where they're guarding a disc coming from. Hitting Entz, back to Burton. Burton winding up, decides better, but instead of a hammer, just turfs a backhand intended for McKibben. And now you'll have the Vancouver D-line. It is an O point for them, but after the timeout, it's their D-line in, who's setting up with a, well, just kind of a spaced out people everywhere offense, which doesn't work as Hauser manages to pick it off and send it right back to Fitzgerald. 30 seconds left on the clock. 6-5 Rainmakers. Gonna have to have something happen quickly. 18 seconds left. Moves it up to Hibbert. As Burton catches up, decides to put on a mark. Hibbert dishes it off and gets it back. 8 seconds left. Only 15 yards to go now. Very few people guarding as it's a prevent defense. Shoots the hammer over, and with 0 seconds left is going to pull it in. Called a goal by the official to tie it as the first quarter comes to a close.
Canterbury, the official apparel supplier to Major League Ultimate. Dress like a pro. Visit www.canterburyus.com, the destination for all your team's custom uniforms and athletic apparel needs. Canterbury, proud partner of Major League Ultimate, committed to the game. Go to discstore.com to purchase official merchandise of Major League Ultimate. Game discs, apparel, accessories, and more. Discstore.com is the world's premier supplier of Ultimate Frisbee products and the official store of the MLU. Discstore.com, that's discstore.com. Wear the same Ultimate gloves as the pros. Friction Gloves helps your throws and catches in all conditions. To find out more information and get a pair, visit frictiongloves.com.
And welcome back to the second quarter. As the Rainmakers, ahead by 1, played a prevent defense, preventing those easy throws at the end. But with about 2 seconds left, 1 second left, then a hammer came across the field, able to be towed in to tie the game at 6s at the end of the first quarter. Rainmakers set to receive, pull coming up by Huckhalter. Pulls a Blady one, let it bounce, take it off one bounce McKibben, who sends it to Tridiak. Tridiak previously has just been hucking it right away, but instead they'll do 2 throws, gain 40 yards with it. Hauser with the disc, being trapped on that sideline, successfully trapped, as it finds Lynch, still being trapped on the sideline, moves it around to Tridiak, but in order to do so has to lose about 15 yards. Up to McKibben, hard man D right now. Vancouver coming out strong. Tridiak with the disc. Slight break, but 15-yard gainer to Hauser. Hauser finds Tridiak after a little switch. And the break goes over to Mark Burton in the end zone. 45 seconds from start of the quarter to score, Rainmakers. Pull by El Salam. Get some air under that one. Centered once again, you've got side stacks, double side stacks, as 2 on the far side cleared across, hoping to create some space. But unfortunately, against the mark, Henry Fan stops it. So instead they find Hibbert in the middle, and little dishes around. Eyrich with the disc, who sends it to, Natikman, second time, having a little trouble holding onto it this time. And once again ends up giving the disc back to the Rainmakers. El Salam with the disc, 20 yards out. Rainmakers up 1. Dewey Valentine playing general. Field Marshal pointing out where he wants people to go. Apparently it's back to him near the sideline. Towed in. Dewey Valentine's just got to clear this sideline. Tough mark, breaks it. Finds Fan, another break mark. Nighthawks doing a good job making those around throws hard, trying to trap him on the near sideline. Have to lose yards, but Rainmakers able to do it, losing lots of yards. Trying to bring it back around to the close sideline. Finds El Salam. After so much handler movement, the stack downfield is becoming pretty stagnant. And there's a shot over to Byerly. It's going to be challenged by Hibbert. And rare to see, but both Hibbert and Byerly misread it a bit. Goes over both their heads. And that'll count for the Nighthawks as they get the disc. You see Hibbert playing both sides of the disc here. He's extremely athletic, big guy. Everyone knows he's a danger. And so far you've seen a lot of different Rainmakers trying to guard him. Right now Byerly's got the challenge. And gets a bit lucky as a misthrow by, I think that was Eyrich. Tosses the disc out of bounds. And Fan's going to get it near sideline. 20 yards out. Again, those good marks. Good mark there by Creed. Able to get around. Pickle having to go up and over to Tickman. And Tickman calling for help as he pulls off a pretty nice switch there. after a bid, finds himself out of position. And a little collision there. It's going to be called a foul, half the distance to the goal line for Dewey Valentine. Officials pointing where he gets it, about 3 yards out. Dewey Valentine and the Rainmakers having trouble converting that red zone. Well, say no more. Valentine finds, it looks like, Laws for another break. Rainmakers 8, Nighthawks 6. El Salam shooting another rocket. As the Vancouver Nighthawks are coming down in a horizontal stack, sending 2 deep immediately, clearing space for Hibbert. Hibbert now being guarded by Ben Beener, which gets shot up, but El Salam saw that one coming early. Managed to come pick it off from the other side. Valentine sending it over to Laws. Laws looking at a very deep stack. Managed to find Valentine, who hits El Salam downfield. There's a lot of switching going on and just huge cuts being made by the Rainmakers out from 45 yards deep into 5 yards out. Very athletic defense right now being played by the Vancouver Nighthawks, who are staying with their guys on these very, very long cuts. There you see Laws able to hang it in and shoot it all the way around, and that is going to be brought in by Ostegard for the goal. Another break. Rainmakers start running away with it as the Nighthawks have not been able to score in this second quarter. Well, as both teams take the field, unbeknownst to our viewers, we might have just seen MLU history made, as during Coach Lugsden's timeout for the Vancouver Nighthawks, Coach Gusson got jealous, called his own timeout, and we had a double timeout. So after about 7 minutes, the Rainmakers will be pulling from half field to a well-rested Nighthawks offensive line. Dewey Valentine's going to take the pull. 5:40 left in the quarter, 9-6 Rainmakers, as the Rainmakers opened with a offensive score and then put in 2 breaks in a row. Hibbert's going to pull it down and center to Creed, who goes across field, far side, hitting Jeske. Jeske to Hochhalter. So they moved it out of the end zone very quickly. Back to Creed. Creed, nobody too close to him, but all he needs is one open cutter, and that's all he got. And Fitzgerald's going to send it and play a little give and go as he finds himself stuck on the sideline. Nobody too close, but there's Morgan Hibbert to bail him out. Hibbert throws the righty backhand, lefty backhand. He doesn't know what hand he's going for, as he finds Brandon Wong on the near sideline. Vancouver not looking like they've got a lot of space or a lot of open cutters right now, but they are finding people and having no trouble moving the disc, really. Finding Creed in the middle. Creed shooting it to the far sideline and gets it right back. And there's a bidding John Quant, but can't get through Fitzgerald. And a call looks like on Creed, so it's going to be sent back, and he'll be dropping 10 yards. Creed gets the disc back, still looking for Fitzgerald, but instead goes to Wong on the near sideline. Wong decides against throwing that, maybe still thinking about the intended throw to Fan. Second quarter. Broken up by Dewey Valentine on the mark right now. Looking for anybody. Fitzgerald open on the near sideline, finally decides to shoot. Fitzgerald hitting Wong. You're seeing Wong get open underneath so much, probably because Byerly's so afraid of him in the end zone. Wong, one of the top goal scorers in the MLU. Not usually one of the top goal throwers, but decides to throw a double helix hammer that will be caught to put the first Nighthawk score on the board in this second quarter. Pull comes up from the Nighthawks. It's going to sail out the near sideline. As the wind has shifted a little, still pushing from left to right on the screen, but also now moving far to near. So you saw that catch the sideline and be pulled in. Todd Sleva with the disc. Looking for Rupp, but ends up catching on his finger. And sends it right over to Tickman, who waits a second. Picks up the disc once everyone's past him. Sends it out past a diving Todd Sleva, wants the disc back. But it's going to stay. Over to Davidson. Davidson hitting the give and go. And able to throw it up into a very tight window, but hits LaRosse for the goal. And that is a break response by the Nighthawks to bring it within one. And as you can see from where they're lining up, a timeout called by Coach Lugsden and the Nighthawks during that break. Pie left on the clock, 3:14. As it looks like Hochhalter is set to throw a bladey pull, hopefully bouncing and rolling out the back, which would set the Rainmakers to start from the back of their own end zone. Pull comes up. He just shoots for the goal. McKibben's going to take it, send it up to Jeff Pate, who immediately gets it out of the end zone to Sleva. Sleva looking for somebody. Vu putting a nice straight-up mark on him, just trying to prevent those hucks as we get down to the 3-minute mark. McKibben will take it in the middle. Very, very deep stack. Nobody within about 40 yards. So he has to throw it to McKibben, but looks like Vu got a hand on it, as Sleva is going to end up on defense. Lynch on defense taking Hochhalter. Sleva almost able to get it back, but Vu holds on. Dishes it up to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald just 15 yards out. Looks like this timeout was paying off as he finds Natickman on the far sideline. Natickman over to LaRosse. And now just a few yards out as he hits Kevin Chan. 2:23 left as the Nighthawks get 2 breaks of their own to tie it up at 9s. And here's a tie game at 9s as Hochhalter shoots the pull deep to McKibben. McKibben centering to Tridiak. We've heard that before. As Lynch does a little out and in cut. Gets a few yards out of it, but then ends up throwing it right to Hochhalter. Hochhalter hits Hibbert. Hibbert switching hands. Not sure whether to hit Natickman or Hochhalter, but they decide to play catch between themselves. Hochhalter stuck on the near sideline, finds Natickman just 10 yards out. Natickman manages to breeze it past 2 players. There's some confusion and a little frustration as some of the Rainmakers saying that an official called something. And since the official called something, play should have stopped. Hochhalter gives the disc back to Vu. And the call is upheld. We're not sure what an official called. Couldn't hear it from up here. But an official said something. The defense stopped playing and was a little frustrated when the throw went off. So Vu's going to take the disc. Just shy of 2 minutes left on the clock. 3 yards out as Vancouver looks to put in their 4th point in a row. The defense rolling after 2 breaks, trying to find their 3rd. And Vu puts it right away. Low shot, but it's going to be brought up by, it looks like, Creed. So there's 10-9, Nighthawks up, a little under 2 minutes left in the half. $1.48 left in the half. As the pull floating towards the near sideline, it's going to shoot out. Henry Fan exchanging a little high five with Dewey Valentine. As Fan will center the disc. Offense setting up in a horizontal. Defense setting up once again on the back hips. Except you see Chan there playing a little game of one-on-one with Bren Byerly. Byerly going deep. Takes a few yards, and Simons takes no time hitting him. Chan with a huge bid, but not able to get there. And comes off as Byerly puts the point in. Rainmakers 10, Nighthawks 10, tie game here in Renton Memorial. You see Morgan Hibbert and Brandon Wong both on for the Nighthawks for their offense. Not sure who's going to guard him as Quant pulls. Centered quickly. Looks like John Quant is taking Hibbert. Everyone's taking turns on the big guy. Hibbert is alone. Hibbert strikes deep. Shot goes to Hibbert. John Quant's going to be there. So is Simon going to try to help. And Quant manages to catch it like it's to him. Hibbert looking at the official, hoping for a call. But Quant's just going to take it and rocket it out of bounds immediately. He loves playing defense. Intended receiver El Salam. But he just shot it too high. A little excited after that D. And Vancouver's going to take the disc on the far sideline, about 12 yards out. There's the 12-yard mark. Looking for Wong. Wong being guarded by Brierly. Instead has to send it to Hibbert across the field. Hibbert doesn't want to throw it too far. Instead shoots the break in. 51 seconds left on the clock as Vancouver puts it in to go up by 1. 11-10 Nighthawks as both offenses back on their feet again. That was the Rainmakers offense finally scored, followed by an offensive point by the Nighthawks as Danny Tridiak looking for something to do with the disc. Finds Jeff Pape, guarded by Fitzgerald. Pape decides to shoot. Burton's going to have to reel that in. Burton makes a big bid. Can't quite get there as the disc hangs with that upper lip in that wind. Pulls it out. Burton caught talking while Vu throws it right upfield. And disc move over to Hawkelter, who finds Fitzgerald on the far side. Fitzgerald's going to move it up to Morgan Hibbert, who throws the righty and just tapped away. With 3 seconds left as he's just got to shoot to the end zone, chooses the blade. It still has a chance. And wow, what a get! Burton pulls it down, 0 seconds left to tie the game at 11s. Crowd happy about that one. Amazing play by Burton, catching Sliva's Hail Mary blade as the time drops down. Closing out the first half, 11s.
Stop your hands from sweating and increase your performance with Gamer Grip. This non-sticky solution allows you to make better throws and grab better catches without a hint of slippage. Innova is proud to support Major League Ultimate and its incredible athletes. As the official disc of the MLU, the Innova Pulsar has quickly become the disc of choice at Ultimate's highest level. Visit innovadisc.com to find a dealer near you. CanJam, proud sponsor of MLU 2015. CanJam is a fast-paced disc game perfect for the backyard, tailgating, or warming up for Ultimate. Get CanJam today at the team store or online at canjam.com. Use bonus code ULTIMATE for 10% off your purchase.
Welcome back to the second half, as that first half featured 2 buzzer beaters and the rare double timeout. Second half comes in, tied at 11s. Rainmakers Nighthawks. Rainmakers set to pull. John Quant with the disc. And you see a pretty standard offensive lineup out there for the Nighthawks. Morgan Hibbert being guarded by just an army of different defenders. Not sure who's going to take him this time. Hibbert there, and of course, Brendan Wong, one of the lead goal scorers in the league. As the disc gets centered to Creed. Creed looking for anybody. A little move around to Hibbert, but again, against the grain for Fan, as that one sneaks past Brendan Wong. And I think Bender's going to go ahead and take the D on that. Bender cutting deep. Nobody really on him. And decides instead to work it up that far sideline, hitting Fan. Fan's going to send it back to Pickle. Pickle looking for somebody. Sends it around to Beener. Beener has to bid, but Morgan Hibbert's going to get there first. Double bid. Hibbert takes it out and gets up a little slow as Beener's setting up about 15 yards deep. Obviously, Ben Beener, the unlucky soul who has to guard Hibbert. Brendan Wong gets the disc near sideline. Looking for somebody to bail him out. And there's a hand block. Bren Byerly breaks that up between Wong and Hibbert. And now Henry Fan picking up the disc. Already a minute of play gone in this quarter. Fan looking for somebody as Dewey Valentine just takes a rocket up the sideline. Gains about 5 yards on it. He's 10 yards out, looking for somebody. A little cloggy backfield, but finds Pickle. Pickle has to throw a bender over to Fan. Fan bids, but can't get there, as that just dives down too much. And it looks like Creed's going to pick it up. Minute and a half have passed. Some offense needs to slow this down. Get back into the bread and butter of hitting the open guys. And Irick decides we don't need to slow it down when you've got somebody. Whoa. But it gets just over. Morgan Hibbert looking at the officials, hoping for a call on Beener, maybe suggesting that Beener prevented him from being able to jump, but it looks like he just went up a little early. And there John Quant doesn't run two, as Irick gets the D. It's about the 6th turn this point. Wong with the disc looking to fire it in, 10 yards out. Can't find anybody right yet, and manages to sneak it over to Taylor Nadon. After over 2 minutes, the Nighthawks finally able to find the end zone there. Nighthawks set to pull. Seattle offense going to see if they can put it in under 2 minutes, or maybe with fewer turns. Yeah, as big surprise. Gavin McKibben gets the disc, centers to Tridiak. Tridiak straight up to Lynch. Lynch finds Sleva as Vu ran off to help deep with Burton. Vu has to come back on Sleva. Burton ends up with the disc. Throws it a little too high. It's going to be a floater. Lots of people go up, and somehow, after falling over everybody, Danny Tridiak gets the disc. Outside, has to pull it back in. Other folks want a travel call after the dish to Burton, and they're going to get it. And that travel is a turnover. Ruling was that Tridiak went into the end zone and then took the disc out about 10 yards laterally from when he went in. That not legal. So after the travel, Vu's going to find himself with the disc. Throws it up to LaRosse. LaRosse finds Vu again. Vu being double teamed and throws it up, but a catch D by Burton. Burton looking at what to do, as it looks like the Rainmakers are not going to be able to break the 2-minute mark. Burton throws it up to McKibben. McKibben has to get up, but pulls it down and shoots it up. Well, tried to shoot it up. Instead shot it down to Brad Hauser, who was looking open, had to turn, throw it very quickly. And now Vu's going to take his time walking over there, bring the disc in. 6:30 left in this 1-point quarter so far. Vu looking at a little clogging close by, but hits Anthony Fan. Fan dishes it up to Lamb on the far sideline. Lamb being double teamed, looking a little unsure, but moves it up to LaRosse. LaRosse finds a wide open Fan, and Fan looking at the one-on-one and decides to hit the second runner coming down as Lynch was trailing for a D by the Nighthawks, a break, 13-11. Vancouver defense earning a break after another long point, just 2 points scored in this third quarter in 2 minutes, as Rupp centers to Tridiak, a little different from the usual McKibben Tridiak. Pushes it back to Rupp. Rupp looking at pretty deep cutters, but that's all right, as Burton gets it underneath, sends it deep to Sleva. Vu's going to be able to make up some ground, and Sleva goes up a little early. It looks like he actually went too high and hit it with his wrist. Pressure from Vu made him go up very aggressively. Vu now with the disc, looking for a third consecutive point. As you saw Michael Yee just send it across. There's Creed who sends it up deep, and can it be pulled down by Yeski and goes over him as Lynch puts on some pressure. And there's Tridiak walking to the disc. Lots more turns than we saw at the beginning of the game there. Scores seem to slow down. Maybe the player's getting a little tired. There's Todd Sleva with the disc near sideline. As he finds Rupp. Rupp is going to look and put it immediately too far out of the reach of Mark Burton. He looks a little exasperated, turns around, and says we're on defense, and there's going to be a trap mark on right now. Burton calling a change, asking Rupp to come help and trap him on the sideline. Rupp not able to get there in time, and it's off to the races for Huckhelter, who sends a deep shot. It's going to float. Tridiak's going to have time to get there. Tridiak goes up, but it's pulled down by LaRosse. LaRosse needs to find something. Shoots it across, and Isaac ends coming out of nowhere. Following that play, gets the D. Over to Pape, under 5 minutes to go in the quarter. Still only 2 points being scored in this quarter, as it looks like Coach Gusson decides nothing. Coach Gusson started walking out, but he decided no timeout. Instead, there was some contact as Lynch gets his 10 yards. Lynch sends it quickly. Looks like it's pretty far, and it floats out. Burton unable to get there. It's going to come back in. Way out. Burton not even in the game right now. He is 40 yards back out the side of the end zone, not even trying, as that hammer goes up for another sloppy long point, ending with a Vancouver break. Hochhalter is pulling to a personnel on the Rainmakers that looks like a defensive line. After that offense has been broken twice in a row, they're putting on some new players. Centers to Dewey Valentine, looking at a deep horizontal stack. As Simons comes across, and instead fires it to El Salam. El Salam getting hit from behind as he tries to catch it. Nighthawks, no contest. Hochhalter just giving the disc to El Salam. He knows that was a foul, it was an accident. And El Salam brings it in. John Quant makes an immediate cut up line. El Salam going deep, just throws it up, hoping Hochhalter can't get there. Hochhalter going up a little early. El Salam managed to pull it down and finds Bren Byerly streaking to the far corner. And the defense gets done what the offense couldn't. Seattle puts one on the board. And it's going to be centered here to Creed. Creed looking at a horizontal stack as Morgan Hibbert just runs very deep, being guarded by both El Salam and Beener. El Salam not even sure who to guard right now, as he's just looking to help with a huck. Disc goes up. Breen's going to be fighting. And wow! Pulled down by Irick in a crowd. Irick just waiting to hit somebody and unable to do so. A little gimme there. Irick giving the disc. That's conservation of greatness. Got up in a crowd, went over Breen, went over El Salam, came down with the disc, had an open player in the end zone, and ends up dropping it. El Salam now with the disc, 2:35 left in the game. In the quarter. Finds Dewey Valentine. Valentine's been catching a lot with those rockets, just quick acceleration up that sideline. Moves it all the way across field to Breen, to El Salam. And El Salam fires it deep, looking for Henry Fan. El Salam and Fan, teammates for a very long time, pushing out the back of the end zone. Fan unable to toe the line, as El Salam looks to his longtime teammate. They played youth ultimate together in the Seattle area for many, many years, now up in the pro leagues. But puts a little too much on that, and Fan not able to watch the disc and the line, as he can't bring it in. Fan on D, and Breen able to come out of nowhere, bid from a poach, and stop it. Fan now with the disc, and Fan throws a little fancy air bounce to Beener. Beener stuck there, 3 defenders right on him. Not sure what to do, stall count getting high, looking for a foul, but instead just dishes it up to El Salam. And El Salam this time finds Fan, and you can hear the crowd liking that hometown connection, as the Rainmakers bring it within one, 13-14. Pull coming down to the near sideline. Just goes out of bounds. As you see a vertical stack being formed by the Nighthawks, as the crowd is chanting, "I believe in D all day." Obviously playing here in Seattle. Fitzgerald's going to take it with a very, very deep stack. Nearest player's about 20 yards out. And it's Hibbert coming under, being guarded by John Quant. Hibbert's going to take the lefty backhand. And there's LaRosse firing it up to Fan. Fan pretty stuck on that sideline. But Vu's going to get it and gain a couple of yards out of that hop. Finally getting it off the sideline to LaRosse. And LaRosse looking right back to Vu. Vu not quite able to bring it in, going lefty with that hard flick, spinning the difficult way for a one-handed catch. And it looks like Sam Pickle is going to get the disc back in on the front cone. Guarded by Vu. Off to a quick break to John Quant. Quant's going to find Byerly in the middle of the field. Byerly not looking behind him. Not sure if he even saw that he had a dump there in Clay Dewey Valentine. Instead fires it to Quant. And Quant can't hold it in, but gets just a series of hand blocks here. And now here's a shot going up, and this time able to toe the line by Fitzgerald. Nighthawks defense ready to pull. Pull goes up. Very flat center of the field, going to curve slightly away. As McKibben's going to take it. Can't quite actually center. And instead hits Hauser. Hauser over to Lynch, back to McKibben. They've gained 35 yards in no time. Make that 45 yards. As Hauser finds himself with the disc. The defense not really stopping anything with 3 seconds left, and that's going to be put up and brought down by another buzzer beater as the quarter comes to a close. Mark Burton pulls that one in to bring it within 1. Nighthawks 15, Rainmakers 14. 1 quarter in play left.
Point6 Socks, the official sock sponsor of Major League Ultimate. Check out www.point6.com for their full line of performance merino wool socks. Skippy, the official peanut butter of the MLU, made with the funnest peanuts ever. Skippy Yippee! Do you have an athletic event, team trip, or corporate outing coming up? If so, charter a private bus, minibus, or party bus from U.S. Coachways. Bus travel is one of the safest, greenest, and most comfortable ways to get your group to an event. If you're going with a group, trust U.S. Coachways. That's what we do.
And there between the quarters, Khalif El-Salam pleading with the audience. This is our last quarter of our last home game before we go on to take the Portland Stags in the West Coast Conference Championship. Asking them if they want us to win, please get loud. Down 1, Rainmakers 14, Nighthawks 15. Final quarter as Hochhelter has the disc, ready to pull to the Rainmakers offense. And this 4th quarter gets underway with the pull right at about the end zone marker as Jeff Pape centers to Danny Tridiak. Tridiak goes with a scoober to Lynch. Lynch looking for the huck to Burton. Burton being guarded though. Decides to send it under. Pape has the disc. Again, a possible shot to Entz, and he decides to take the shot. It's going to double helix. Entz is going to have to get up for it, and Entz does so, and then finds Chris Rupp. Entz getting that disc by Davidson. Maybe not quite how they planned it, but it'll do. A tie game of 15s. You can hear the crowd stamping as Khalif El-Salam asked him to. He's set to pull. Deep shot again, right about at the end zone line. Horizontal stack by the Nighthawks. Looking for somebody. And right now, still kind of a zony transition. Junk D from the Rainmakers. Nighthawks finally able to break it open a bit. And there's a huck that's going to go up as Khalif El-Salam runs in. And wow! Unable to get there as it's pulled down by the Nighthawks, silencing the crowd to go up 16-15. Pull going up to the Rainmakers. We're going to see McKibben center to Tridiak. That's their MO. Horizontal stack as people clear deep, and you get Burton coming across in the space made. Opening play comes up like planned as he decides to dump it back to Pape. Pape sends it going around and two-putting it over to Sliva, who's able to find a pretty small shot into Burton. Burton to Hauser. Hauser middle to Sliva, who fires it to the far sideline, hoping somebody's going to go up, and Lynch does. brings it down left-handed to tie that game right back up. 8:36 left in the game as El Salam pulls. Sends that one high, lots of air underneath it. As you see, it looks like Bender and Dewey Valentine coming down for the first two, as they're going to take handlers. Bender coming off to help D, which leaves Nate on open, who gets the disc. Looking for anyone. It's a horizontal stack from the Nighthawks, but really just have a lot of folks cutting somewhat laterally, not giving a lot of space to each other, big spaces to run into. But they're starting to spread out. Finds Jeske. Jeske back to Hibbert. Hibbert looking to send it around, and he does, a righty. Near sideline as Brendan Wong finds himself with the disc. Wong looking for somebody downfield, but not a lot of movement, as there is a little bit of crowding and clogging by the Nighthawks. There's Jeske again, coming out that far sideline, who hits Hibbert, who has to go up and over Ben Beener and then hits the ground hard. Starting to push up already. And the officials are going to come over and see how he's doing. Hibbert looks to be okay, stands up with a hug from Beener. And Beener's going to take the armband of shame for the foul. Hibbert's going to get 10 yards from the spot of the foul, putting him about 30 yards out of the end zone, far sideline, as the Nighthawks look to break the tie and go up one. Disc comes in, and Hibbert to a nice move by McFarlane, who then sends it directly to Brendan Wong. Brendan Wong, a scoring machine, once again able to sneak past Khalif El Salam to put in the end zone. Nighthawks 17. 7:36, a lot of game left here, as Hokelter puts one of the better pulls we've seen this quarter deep into Seattle territory. Center to Pape. Seattle doing quite a good job making space for their cutters, as Rupp gets the disc on the near sideline. A little dishy inside out to Pape. And it looked there for a minute like the huck might go up to McKibben as nobody was on him, but was unable to see him. Still nobody really on McKibben. Hits Rupp instead. And finally, there's Michael Yee. Drops back. There was some confusion. He manages to hit McKibben, but that leaves Jeff Pape open as they slide it around. 7 minutes left, and the game once again tied in the fourth quarter. Coach Gusson, unwilling to just trade points, realizing that they're always down one or tied, decides to use a timeout between those points and try to set up the Rainmakers defense for a break. Clay Dewey Valentine going to pull it from half field. As you see the standard offensive set from Vancouver. Morgan Hibbert, Brendan Wong, Fitzgerald, the usual suspects. Pull coming up. Blading to the far sideline. Picked up and centered right away, as Fitzgerald looking for someone to bail him out and finds McFarlane there. McFarlane finds Hibbert, and Hibbert's going to hit Wong. Nice catch by Wong, saving it with a quick little lefty grab. Wong being guarded by Breen, who is staying about 5 yards deep on him. And some switching going on as Clay Dewey Valentine takes Wong. Shot goes up. McFarlane's going to bid but can't pull it down. A little too far. And Simons is going to walk past the disc, letting Pickle pick it up as the Rainmakers defense transitions to their O. Pickle has the disc, sends it right away to Simons. Simons has a good jump. Can he pull it in bounds? Bids touches the disc though, and that does count for something. If Simons hadn't jumped from inbounds and touched the disc at least, it would be out of play right near the throw, so he did save about 60 yards with that bid. As it looks like Creed is going to take the disc on the far sideline, being guarded by Fan. Double teamed right now as he finds the open guy and sends up a little blade or hammer to the close sideline. Back to the middle with Wong. Wong looking for somebody deep as it hits Hibbert. There was a deep shot, but Hibbert decides to stop, hold it, and instead it's shot under to Creed. Creed back to Nadon. After this long point, 5:20 left in the game. There's the shot from Wong to Hibbert, and Hibbert's just going to run it down with those long legs and send the Nighthawks up to 18. Rainmakers still at 17. Nighthawks coming in at half field after Coach Lugsden used the last timeout. You're seeing their D-line hoping to put this one away and go up 2. And that one rolls towards the near sideline, picked up by Rupp, who moves it over to Pape. Still in some danger zone, but moves it out of danger with Burton. Burton does his usual fake hammer to Rupp. Rupp goes all the way across the field to Isaac Entz. Isaac Entz finds Hauser. Lots of space here as they're moving it laterally. Ooh, almost broken up by Vu. But held on to. And a big bid by Entz, can't get a hold of it. Entz is going to have to play catch up for a minute. But there's a call. And the official decides to run away, get a new disc. After Entz, big man coming down on the disc, apparently turned it into a taco. They took the disc and just threw it straight into the audience. Disc comes in. Looks like Davidson sending it back to Vu. Vu looking for somebody, yelling at his team a little bit. And then finds it, sends it over to Lamb. Lamb to the far sideline. And signaling for a big throw, wants something big. And takes a roll over to Natikman, who's going back to Hochhelter. Sends it up to Lynch. Lynch read that one and picked that one off first. Seattle unfortunately familiar with the red throw and pick. There's Rupp looking for something to do with the disc. Sends it over to Entz on the far sideline. Entz to Burton. Burton's got Hauser in front of him and just only Hauser. Sends it deep. Can Hauser run it down? It's pretty far in front. Hauser's going to bid. Can't quite get there. Would have been a goal with 3:45 left, but instead, Hauser's going to take the D as he marks up against Vu. Vu moves it close sideline to Natikman, who shoots it up to Hochhelter. Little movements by the Nighthawks. They are up, but with 3:20 left in the game, still got to put these ones in. Not sure what to do, but Natikman open enough to throw anything to him. Hochhelter looking for some movement downfield, not seeing a lot. It's just going to have to stay with the handlers for a while as the downfielders are watching and letting the handlers take possession. That one a little too slow. Doesn't go to by Lamb, and it gets broken up by Isaac Entz, who, as soon as they have the disc, takes a timeout for Seattle. Seattle offense taking the field as Tridiak sends it right over to Pickle. Pickle moving it across to Dewey Valentine. Hard D right now as they're seeing a fired up defense by Vancouver, playing their man. Shoots it over, and the question is, can he keep it in bounds? It's going to be towed and called in by the officials. Burton toes the line to tie it up at 18. 3 minutes remaining in the game. John Quant pulling. Launches it high past the airplanes. Curving down to the near sideline. Centered, seeing a split stack right now. Ooh, unable to get it centered. Now finally has to send it to a laying out Creed, who shoots it far sideline to Eyrick. Eyrick doesn't find Hibbert. Hibbert was alone for a while. And Robin Breen coming off Hibbert to take a stab at that shot. Unable to get there. And Hibbert gets a free throw, hits Creed in the middle. Creed to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald back to Hibbert on the far sideline. And they're almost halfway up. Very nice downfield D right now as you see a lot of cutters. Oh, just over Creed's head. And it's going to be a turnover, a chance for the Rainmakers to go up with 2 minutes remaining. Dewey Valentine trying to slow things down. Credit to the downfield defenders there on the Rainmakers, as you saw a lot of cuts being made underneath, but people on the hips meant it just wasn't going to work, and that throw floats a little too high. Henry Fan unable to get there, and Irick pulls it down. Centered to Nadon. Nadon still half field. Over, little reach by the big man. Sends it up, and the bid by Bender is going to break it up enough. Minute 37 left, tie game at 18s. Fan on the near sideline, looking at some folks pretty deep. And there's Quant with nobody on him in the middle. They'll hit that. Quant does a little break over to Beener. Beener to the far sideline. Laws with the disc, moves it over to Fan. Fan back to Laws, it looks like. Nope, skips him, goes to Quant. And Quant, there's going to be the dishy to bring it up. 19-18. Rainmakers take the lead with a little dish to Fan. Crowd enjoys that one. Minute left in the game as the Rainmakers take their first lead of the half. Khalif El Salam. Pull it. You can hear that raindrop cheer. As Vu centers to Creed. Creed looking for a deep shot right away. Decides to holster it, as it looks like Rupp was flying deep with potential receiver Fan. Little handler movement. Finds Hibbert in the middle. Hibbert's going to fake something and send it to the near sideline. Hochhalter stuck with the disc and moves it up. Kipped inbounds by Fan. Fan just right on that line. Needs to get it off the line. Manages to hit Vu, but not off the line. Is going to get a foul and 10 yards on that one after a little contact with Pickle. 35 seconds left as Vu's going to take the disc 10 yards out on the sideline. 9 yards out. Vu has the disc. Hard D by Brent Byerly. Manages to pull it around, and a diving grab is going to take it to Hochhalter. Tie the game up, 30 seconds left. 19s. Just shy of 30 seconds left in the game as a Lugsden timeout earns Vancouver a half-court pull. Hibbert's got the disc, and you hear "Make It Rain" being yelled by the fans here. So far, 3 for 3 quarters have ended with a buzzer beater. Whoa, as Morgan Hibbert shows the Canadian Space Program. Pape's going to take the disc, send it over to Lynch on the far sideline. Lynch thinking about a shot to El Salam, who's streaking deep, decides against, and it gets hand blocked. Lynch looking for something. No call. 14 seconds left as Vu's going to take it in that close sideline. Under 10 seconds. Tie game. A shot here would effectively end it. So far, every quarter ended with a buzzer beater. There's the shot that goes up, and it's brought down to take it up. 2019 Nighthawks with 1 second to go. Well, 2 seconds left as we're going to see a game of 500 while Seattle tries to win that game and put it into overtime. The game is not going to work, though, as that disc is not even going to make it to the end zone. And that'll be over. John Quant trying to punch it and mack it all the way in. But the Nighthawks earned that one. 2019 final score to close out the last home game for the Seattle Rainmakers. Close game here at MLU. The Nighthawks will take it. Rainmakers still able to go, continue next week to the West Coast Championships, where they'll take on the Portland Stags.